Here we are. Welcome to the Shamans Tea. I'm Starr and I'm so grateful to be here with you. And we have a special guest today. Katie Moseley's joining us. And of course, Mia, my partner, my beautiful, beautiful queen. How are you? How's everybody today?
Doing great. Yeah. It's lovely to be back. Thank you for having me. What are you guys drinking?
Oh, I'm in Dieta, baby. It's all about the lemon water.
Nice.
So, cheers. Cheers, cheers, cheers. You didn't bring a tea? You got a tea today, Katie?
I'm drinking water in a smoothie.
Awesome. Cheers.
Nice.
So lots been going on, guys. Lots have been going on. And you know, we have invited Katie in today to be our guest because, well, Katie's a sister, a beautiful friend, and you know, Katie put out a video, what was a couple weeks ago, that really sparked my joy. And she was speaking about her NDE, her near-death experience, and the relationship of comparing the ego death experience when she was imbibing with sacred tea. And so you guys know I'm all about that. And I was just so excited to hear your excitement, Katie, your excitement. And so, you know, before we jump right in, I want to just say me and I and Katie have open sacred space before we push record. But I want you all to just drop into your heart space and know that these messages that we are sharing with you today are coming from the highest place, the highest good for all humanity, for the Pachamama, for you. So, yeah, welcome. So, Katie, tell us a little bit. First of all, you're in Colorado. Yeah. How's it feeling in Colorado now?
Well, we had some beautiful warm weather yesterday, so it was nice to get out in the sunshine and have some of the snow melting. And I just love the mountain vibes up here. So
yeah, nice.
It's good. It's good.
Nice.
Curious to know what warm is.
It's all relative, right?
Yeah, like 49 with very bright sun. Which is sometimes deceiving because sometimes I'm like, oh, it's gorgeous out. I'm gonna go, you know, with my short sleeve shirt and it's like 32 and sunny. And I'm like, oh, never mind. I thought it was gonna be 75 and sunny.
Colorado's like that. It's bizarre. And when it's 49, it doesn't feel like 49, you know?
Not
it's
really.
Funny. It's weird, you know, how that is. So Mia, how's North Kakalaki, Carolina?
Wow. North Kakalaki, that Carolina was 60 degrees yesterday and sunny. 60.
Oh, 60.
Oh, I thought you said 6 too.
I thought you said 6. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it's very overcast today, but I'm just totally happy that the wind is not blowing because we've had a lot of rain and a lot of wind. So beautiful weather here today.
Beautiful. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Good.
Yeah, there's something to be said for getting up at 4 in.the morning to meditate.
Oh.
Not 5 o'clock, not 6 o'clock, but 4 o'clock, because it's like 10 minutes. You think, oh, it's been 10 minutes. No, it's an hour.
So that just totally resonates with you. You know, lots of Buddhist monks, I mean, that's their time, you know, get up at 4.
Yeah. I love it.
Must be a great frequency that's going, you know, that's happening during that particular hour in which most of us are deep in REM.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Quiet.
I think that why it's such a easy time to meditate is because your brainwaves are kind of calm.
Exactly. Your brain waves are, in that, REM or theta state to begin with. But also think about the environment. I mean, like all around the world, most people are sleeping. Most people are not busy. So, for me, those times, and we always talk about, me being a night owl. And I think it's because I get those downloads, when the ethers are easier for the messages to come through.
Yeah.
They don't have to come through such dense energy, light and chitter chatter and all of that. Do you find that, Katie, too?
I can relate to that for sure.
Yeah.
At night, or sometimes I wake up and I'm awake, and I'll sit and meditate for a while. It's a great
And
time.
some people call that insomnia,
Mm,
while others of us call it the time to wake up and do the, receive. And,
yeah.
well, why is my body waking up at this time? Ooh, what's going on?
Yeah, instead of judging as insomnia, I started to shift it and think like, okay, I'm here to listen.
Beautiful.
I'm here to listen.
Exactly. Yeah, great. Yeah. And so, yeah, again, I love the word that you used in judging it, that we judge it based on, oh my gosh. And we can create a whole big story about how we're not going to be rested and ready and, all of these things. And the mind goes kind of in the monkey brain, right? So, it's interesting how our minds can start to feed into one energy, or we can choose to go into another and say, wait a minute, so we're waking up for a reason. So that's cool. So Katie, give us a little bit of background on you. Tell us what you want us to know about you. And I know you do oracle readings and you're just a gifted soul, so share.
Thank you. Well, what we were just talking about, how waking up in the middle of the night is one of the incidents that happened that was a big shift in me understanding my like clairvoyant intuition and stuff like that, because I started waking up and listening. And the only reason why I shifted to listening is because I had been doing a lot of meditation and learning how to sit with things, and learning how to receive those messages. So yeah, in the middle of the night is when I started receiving some of the biggest ones. And I was like, oh, there's definitely a reason why I'm waking up. Something's trying to get in touch with me.
You're right.
That I have asked for. Yeah. Like I've been opening the door and they're like, we're here.
Right. Hey, and it makes it a lot easier if you can tune in at this hour. It makes it a lot easier for them to come through.
Yeah, not so much chatter and noise and activity. You're sitting, it's still. And for a mother, like, yeah, sometimes 2 a.m. is the only quiet, still time.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's been quite the journey. So I did post that video, and I have put a lot of thought into that leading up to that. But I felt like it was a message that was calling to be heard. Yeah. And I really
heard it.
It was time. It was time to start talking about it. And I've received some feedbacks from that's just really interesting, how the two incidents I was called to compare them, from a friend who's heard me speak about it in private. And some of the feedback is interesting because some who have worked with sacred tea could relate to just the things I said with the NDE. And so they're so similar in some of the qualities of what it brings. And both such important inner voyages.
Yeah, I could see that. And so, just take us a little bit about like your experience, if you could capsulize it. I mean, I know it's really big, and in your near death experience.
So I
What's your
will say
takeaway, I guess, maybe?
it's okay. It took me a long time to figure out how to talk about it, because during, like, right after it, and even years after it, I didn't know how to put it into words. And I just had these a feeling about it. And it was also one of those incidents where it happened so quick that, like, I was like, well, what is there to describe here? And I just had a lot of feeling about it. And like I said, like, the people around me did not know what I was talking about. And probably because my words were not, like, accurately or closely, articulating and connecting it in a way that they could connect to. So, anyways, it took me a long time. And I would say that a lot of work with meditation, learning about, I did a lot of subtle energy awareness classes. I went through 3 levels of that. Those helped exponentially on teaching me how to speak about, like, transfer the experience into words.
Right. Isn't it interesting, the language, right? And how, when we talk about trying to transfer an experience that we've had into words, sometimes we just don't even have the words to explain. And what is so interesting is this, I want to say, segue into hearing what is actually between the words and actually hearing the sounds. And I think what we're understanding is the birth here of light language.
Yes.
Yeah, straight to the heart. Like, that's how I understand light language a lot. Straight to the heart and soul.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I had an experience where I gave death rites to somebody this week, and having to explain the messages that came through for the person who was left behind. And for me, it was so beautiful that I started crying. And yet to take that and turn it into words, it kind of falls flat.
Yeah.
You're in this place of sacred soul messages that you have to turn into English. You can't quite transfer it. It doesn't translate.
Yeah. So you found some language, and that's always the key, when I'm doing my practice is, because I work with such an array of people, business people, I mean, like, all kinds. So you kind of have to find the language, not only that describes what you're trying to say, but also what's the language that they can hear.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a learned skill in channeling as well.
Yes, it's practice.
Yeah, practice.
Yeah. It's practice and it's tuning in. So you found the language. So that is beautiful that you were able to find the language. So what would that be if you could, kind of hone it in and, like what was that
So,
experience like?
I mean, the experience was, well, as I say in the video, it did take me to a place where I felt freed of time. So the constraints of time went away. It was a place that was free of judgment, unconditional love, um, and just stillness and peace, where I referred to it as, like, the pause. Like, it was a pause. Um, And, you know, it's kind of like, I also described it as like the void or the abyss, because it's sort of like a blank slate, like a creation space. Like,
Mhm.
what do you want to create from here? And I felt like I was kind of given that chance, like, you know, this is a pause and now we can pivot. What do you want to eat?
Wow, beautiful. Sacred space, girl.
Yeah. Yes.
Totally. Beyond time, beyond, gravity.
A place without the programming. Like, that's some of the awareness that brought me into comparing it to the ego death, is because in that space you don't have the same, the programming is outside of you, and it's becomes, now it took me a while to understand that. But as I meditated, I started, like, in the years following, I started to realize, oh, that's where I was brought into the non-program space too, where ego is a bit separated. And so I became more and more comfortable with understanding that relationship as time went on.
So when you talk about the programming, are you talking about the conditioning that we receive and, environmental conditions and, what our parents put on us, all of those kinds of the conditioning of our condition, kind of, so to speak?
Yes. Yeah,
Yes. Mhm.
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that's beautiful. And yeah, I can see where that would be a comparison, because certainly the sacred tea definitely takes us out into not only that sacred space and beyond time, beyond gravity, into the places where you can actually see your programs and choose something different.
Mhm. Yeah. And I've had some pretty intense experiences with that, working with the tea. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're very vivid and presented in so many different ways that I have such an appreciation for just the creation of all of it, because grandmother can be like, oh, do you understand it in this way? We're going to show you this way. Okay, well, let's present it this way. Do you see it now? Do you see the pattern within yourself? And then once you can see it and accept it, you can start to shift it.
Right. Yeah. And this is the big, big works, right? And being able to do that. Um, Shifting the patterns and choosing how we wish to be in the world, as you say, the pivot space, um, do I really want to come back into this meat suit, into this reality, and carry with me all of that programming, all of that, baggage? It's
Yeah,
like,
I felt like I was able to kind of look at it and have an appreciation for, like, the purpose it served. Okay, how is this serving me up until this point? Like, why did I take this on, this belief? Or, and a lot of it was out of survival and
sure.
navigation. And then you say, well, do I need that to survive anymore? Or can I shift it to another, um, it's another set or structure that is going to serve me better from this point on? Thank the old one, but send it away with love now.
Right. And this is like, when you've come to sit in ceremony and so forth with me, one of the things that I know I always go over is like, is it for my highest good? Is it for the highest good of humanity? Is it for the highest good of the earth? These are the three gates of integrity that we kind of go through, and we kind of do that little checkpoint, right? Is this really what I want to do anymore? Right. And we can look at our healing process as, the awareness. Okay, we bring the awareness up front, saying, okay, I'm aware that I've had a conditioning or a trauma or a PTSD or whatever it is, the big it. pull, okay, I have this awareness now. It's no longer in the shadows, it's no longer unconscious. I've brought it up and to the plate. Now what do I do with it? And we have that choice of, anything that needs to be forgiven, ourselves, situations, anything that needs to be forgiven, take it through that gateway. And then, like you say, offering this sense of gratitude. What were the gifts? Why, how did this serve me? What did I take? What am I taking away from this? And, even coming to the place of thanking those patterns because they've kept you alive, or, like you say, in survival mode. And it feels like, this is the process in which you went through with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that was a big part. That awareness is a huge part, because until you get that awareness, you're really, you're just operating out of like an automatic unconscious state.
Sure.
Bringing it to the front is like step one. And then
Yeah.
navigating through all of it are the other steps, and
Right.
figuring out how you're going to integrate this into your life from this point moving forward. And with both incidences, near death and working with tea, that was huge to not forget the lessons. Like, what are you going to do to stay in practice?
That's all the integration stuff, right? And I
Mhm.
love hearing that you for years were started taking this to your meditation with your NDE, because that is such oh my gosh, integration tool, right? To be able to integrate in your meditations. And the integration process, I think, oftentimes falls super short when we have these big boom experiences, and we get so like, oh, high on it all, like, whoa, I can change the world, walking away on the pink cloud, as I say, but it's really the real work is in that integration process. Otherwise, you're just hopping from experience to experience and trying to just peek out, and not really giving yourself the time to make the changes and integrate them. And so, those lessons that you've received, I mean, I can only imagine that your channeling has opened significantly. Yes.
Yes, that that was, it's so interesting. Like, that is definitely was a huge gateway for me. And I think that's one of the reasons why that happened. Like, my higher safe self was like, okay, it's time. Like, they have a way of working with you. Your spirit guides, when I say they, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, yes, and how I think of it too is that it was kind of like a gift that was unfolded over time, because it's not like I had the epiphanies in the moment in like a couple of days after, and then, but there was a lot of people around me that were like, okay, time to get back to normal. Like, they didn't, you know what I mean, time to get back to normal.
Get back in your
Like,
pattern, girl.
yes, and like you can kind of fall back to sleep a little bit by like some of, depending on what sort of support system is being facilitated. So once I started tapping back into, some circles where, mindfulness and things like that, I felt, it came back in. And then, like I said, the more I worked with meditation and things and subtle energy and learning how, the five clairs, okay, how do I relate to this and understanding it? Because there was a lot for me, my upbringing, there was a lot of stigma, and I had to kind of work through that and understanding, oh, this is really natural. This is something I'm really gifted at. And I let go of that. And then once I started to understand it better in the years like after that, the actual NDE and the messages I received there made more sense because I was able to translate them better. And I was, oh, this is how that works.
Oh, that's what they were talking about.
They were showing me advanced level, and I was like, hey, I'm still trying to understand this on beginner level. They're like, you'll catch up. Don't worry.
You're in a master's course.
I'm understanding it.
Sometimes spiritual awakening is like that. And I'm just curious, tapping into our viewers, I would love to hear some of your experiences in your awakening process. And, did you feel like, like, whoa, wait a minute, and I know that sometimes it can be overwhelming. Yeah. Mia, when you were, I mean, we've been walking this road together for a long time, but like, do you still have those moments of like, next level? Here we go.
Absolutely. I mean, we are talking about the healing process, how the healing process is basically like peeling an onion, that it's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer that needs healing. And I think the hardest is when you start and I've met so many people the first time scheduling a session, and it feels like they described almost like a balloon that's fully inflated but with water, and like, if you just touch it with a pin, it's going to all come undone. And of course it's not like that, but there's so much that they're holding in. There's so much. We talked a little bit about armoring the last time, and it takes a fair amount of courage in the beginning, but as you go and you peel and you peel and you peel, it starts actually getting easier, I find, to get that layers out. And as you do the work and you're growing, how there's once again all those layers and layers that you kind of keep building upon. And that's what makes this path so wonderful, that it never gets boring.
That's true.
I would agree.
That is very true. Woo! Yeah. And I also feel like the more the layers, unfold and unfold and unfold of that healing process, is that we have that ability each time that a layer is taken off. I like to think of things in the terms of frequencies. And so the higher our frequencies and the more ability we have to lift up and be lighter and fine tune our frequencies with those trajectories of what we really want to anchor in to our world. And it's new moon. So what a perfect time for thinking about what it is that, I mean, everything is aligning right now in perfection for whatever you want to create in your world to come to fruition. And so if you start thinking about those unconscious patterns, and we understand that what we put out there is what we get back, right? Mirror, mirror.
Magnetism.
Then, by all means, raise those frequencies and start really being intentional about what it is that, how you choose to be in this time. And it is a choice, guys. It is.
Yeah, and it feels really like where we put our attention, we animate that, we bring it to life. It comes to life wherever we put our attention. And when we know that, it's like, oh, I've got to be really, really, really careful where I put my attention, because
True that. Oh man, true that. And it's so wild how, yeah, I just had a serious experience in that, and could catch myself ruminating about the what ifs. And like part of that is like, okay, so you want to be prepared, but you don't want to be in that, and I would have to stop myself and say, wait, I mean, like, just ground way down and just like, okay, so this is not what I want to attract in my life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's amazing how how many times a thought comes into my mind that's kind of fear-based. And I've got to go backtrack it, and then throw an arrow way into the future where it's for the highest good, and visualize that and hold that in place to kind of, it's very much wind it down, wind it down, wind it down, wind it down, wind it down.
Bring it all in. Yeah. And also, like, when we find ourselves in that space, not to go into let the little sabotager come out and beat yourself up for going into the space. Oh, you did it. Oh. No, but to come back and pat yourself on the back that, hey, you recognize that. Good job. That you've recognized your pattern, that you've recognized that you've dipped into a lower vibration, that you've recognized that, okay, now I'm going to pivot this, I'm going to shift this. What is my choice? How do I want to consciously create my world?
Absolutely.
So happy new moon.
Yeah, so we're talking about 7 planets that are in alignment right now, and they're all squared. So it's
squared
like,
and in alignment. How can that be?
well, I mean, yeah. So you can see, like, I'm not with a, but like even the sun. I mean, there's this whole line of them, and when that happens, is that whatever you choose, whatever seeds you put in the ground with intention, you have really good chances for success, which is why it's so vital that we are taking this full moon very seriously. And
New moon. This new moon, yeah.
Katie, you wanted to say something. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no, it's okay. I can't remember now.
Oh, dang.
Oh, I think it was coming out of those, what you were talking about, coming out of when you drop down into like a fear thought or a question thought, that's kind of like second guessing or whatever. And there's a lot of that in the collective, like 2020, 2021, like it's pretty intense.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I heard something that said sometimes you need to be reborn like 50 times a day. Like you need to pull yourself back out of it. And the faster you can do it, like allow yourself, okay, I acknowledge this fear and this is where we're going to take it. I acknowledge it, pull back up. And so it's like learning how to navigate that more like quickly and efficiently, because it's going to happen in the human experience. It's okay.
So here is my thoughts. And okay, so I have been getting this as I have been working one-on-one with people. I have been noticing these upgrades and this 5th dimension chakra system that is coming in. And when you talk about up and down and reborn each day, one of the things that I see and I really work with is that your heart center is the gateway. It's the 4th dimension. It's the gateway into the 5th dimension. And it's through that heart center that you go up and down and up and down and up and down. And that you can go up to the 5th dimension, or you can slide back down into the 3rd dimension. Or you can go back up, but it's through your heart. And so if you connect deeply with your heart and stay heart centered, you have an easier chance of those that up and down to not be so up and down.
Yeah, that resonates.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a guided meditation, Mindful Mondays. You know, I do these meditations. And this coming Monday is a kind of guided journey through the upgraded chakra system and just activating. It's an activation meditation.
I'd love to join that one.
You're more than welcome. It's you know, a lot of people drop in, $10 a drop in. It's super, super sweet. It's an hour, 4:00 on Pacific time. But yeah, it will be an upgrade to the chakra system, and activation is sorry. There's my guys going, it's an activation. It's not an upgrade. I don't know why. What's the difference? But there's that language again, right? Activating. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I'm called to pull a card. So let's pull a card and see, how is our collective consciousness doing right now? As I feel it, it feels like we have another wave of tension that is going through. And what I'm understanding is this, you know, as you were saying, Katie's like, yeah, the fear is up 2020, 2021, you know, but it seemed like it quelled a little bit, and now it's back into this really intenseness. You feeling that?
Yep.
And what I feel as I walk into that is the energy of resistance. It is a resistance of changing from your old patterns, a resistance of, you know, checking into your heart, the resistance of, do I really want to go up to 5D and experience joy, experience love in its fullest, you know, pure bliss state? Or do I want to stay back down here? And there is some sort of a resistance. And I think that it speaks to that ego death. So this card, let's see what it says. Oh. Ooh.
You're going to have to raise it up a bit.
Okay, I'll read it. It's the King. Man, authority, male sexual energy, things pertaining to law and justice. I read it as the old patriarchy, the old paradigm. So sometimes it's easy to navigate because it's what we know, the old paradigm. We've been in it for a long time. So we just go back to what's easier instead of rising. So just know that you can shift out of that. What do you guys see in that card?
No, it sounds right, but it sounds like that's in the past. That's what we're leaving.
Well, today is impeachment trials, and I hate to bring all of that into the Shamans Tea.
I wasn't going to say that.
But it is what it is. I mean, we can't deny it. We can't push it away.
Correct. And so, but here's my card.
Oh, beautiful.
And it's that unity consciousness, and that we are all in this together. We are all one. When we connect with our hearts, we are all one. And so once again, that same thing, like, where are you going to put your attention? Are you going to stay in that place where we're in the dying throes of the patriarchy and that resistance to stepping out of it and into something new that's feminine, that's more fluid? Look at these waves. Look at all that beautiful waves that's around that drop. And this is kind of, I guess, to a degree, there's also like a bit of upheaval. These waves are not exactly peaceful. but yeah,
Well, we're not in a peaceful time. I mean, peace in your heart, peace can be tapped into at any moment. Any moment you have that choice.
mm-hmm.
But in that collective energy, it is tumultuous. It is big waves. And it's what's needed in order to shift that paradigm, I feel.
Yep. So is there an outcome card?
So you got an outcome card, Katie?
Well, I drew something, and it's an archangel card, Archangel Shamuel, and the card says Gateway of Direction.
Which way you going? You're going up to the 5th dimension, or you're coming down in the 3D. And not that the 3D is bad, right? So what we're doing is we're creating heaven on earth. Okay, we're bringing the 5D here in this meat suit, here on this planet. And Pachamama is already there. So we've got that Schumann resonance, right? The coherence of Mia's card, right? And knowing that we can go in any direction and that we're going to be in that. I mean, does that feel like yin yang almost, Katie? Let me look at that card again. That's a cool card.
It's beautiful. I love these cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Archangel Shamuel. I love the light code. Like a lot of the art on here is just definitely done in the form of light codes.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say, I see that symbol a lot in these, when the new energies are coming in, and it's like comes in an array of light, but it has these like, at first, when I first started seeing them, I was like, is that hieroglyphics? What is that? You know? Oh, no, that's not what that is. It's the new language. It's the new coding that is being installed for the activations. And it's very much looks like that and other kinds of things, but very much, and even those colors.
Yeah, within this deck, there's like light spectrum cards too, and so
What's the deck?
So pardon?
What is the deck? Deck?
It's Archangel Light Codes, Oracle book by Leanne Colquitt.
Okay.
And awesome. This is from Australia, and I was so like drawn to this deck that I was like, I'm ordering it from Australia.
Right on. Yeah, we do that with our decks, right?
You know how it is that they call to you. Like
I do.
Resonate. And I was like, this is the one.
It's so funny how that is so true. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. They
how many times do you get a deck and you think, oh, this is wonderful, and you get the deck and you go, oh. And then like I have so many decks here, and there's like one deck that I use over and over and over and over again. It's like it's written for me.
Yeah.
It almost feels like there's so many decks out there because everybody has their deck that speaks to them.
I have many that I work with, as you know, but I feel like I can tend to get in a little bit of a rut. Like, oh no, this one. So these guys want to come out and play. You know, I think that too is when Katie, you spoke in your video about this epiphany of like, all of that, it doesn't really matter. You know, like we're so detached and drawn to like, and like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I was brought into, it brings you into the present moment when you're there.
Yeah.
It's a lot different.
You see how inconsequential all of our, is, right?
Because you're like, all this
Did
stuff.
You like that language?
Yeah. No, I understand that. It's the chatter. You know, all the stuff you thought mattered doesn't matter. And all the stuff, the being in the present moment stuff. And you know this, you know, you knew this as a child, you knew it at different stages. And then for a lot of people, they're encouraged to, you know, separate from that. And then when it brings you back into that present moment, you're like, oh,
Well,
those are
there
the
we
things that
are.
matter. Those are the things that matter. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The love and presence.
Oh, let me see. It's hard to do this with my screen on.
The
There it is.
green screen there in front of you, it works best, I think. Well, maybe. Yep. Sort of.
Can you see it at all?
Now I do.
It says love.
Yes. No, I do.
So bringing us back into love. The card says, oh, and this is an affirmation, guys. So let's just drop into the heart space and just really feel this as an affirmation. I am loving. I am surrounded by love. I have loving people and experiences in my life. I am grateful for the love that surrounds me. I cheerfully express love. I love myself unconditionally. Today, I release the strings from my heart that bind me. I allow the healing power of love into my life. I radiate love to everyone. I am unconditional love. Aho. Goosebumps. Oh, my goosebumps. And that's really what it is. I guess that's it right there, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, coming back to love.
Coming back to love.
And and to also talk a little bit about that stepping away from fear. I find that the moment you start falling into fear, if you can reach for gratitude to just help you out of that fear and then bound towards love again, it's like, for me, that gratitude is that one step that I take the moment I feel like, ooh, where am I going now? I'm feeling like I'm stepping off the pavement here into some ditch of fear. The pavement for me is gratitude.
Oh,
The moment I can step into gratitude, I'm out of the ditch again. And then I can go from there back up to love.
gratitude is amazing. I mean, really, practicing of gratitude. I used to say many years ago that I suffered from what I called the deep sadness. Wasn't anything particularly that I was sad about. I just had something that was just kind of floating in my cells. And it was truly the practice of gratitude. And I can't tell you that one day I said, oh, it's not there anymore. Like it was like a switch, but all of a sudden I just did notice it. And I noticed that it's completely gone. And that practice of gratitude is so simple, of saying at least 5 things that I'm grateful for before my feet hit the ground in the morning, before I get on my phone, before I even get out of bed. I wake up and I say 5 things that I'm grateful for. Sometimes it's more. And then at night, before I go to sleep, I do my little Merkaba meditation, and I go into that space of what are the things that I'm grateful for. And I swear to you guys, it is key. It is a key thing. And I think the tea probably helped a lot in that shifting of the cellular, and I think that the cellular sadness, the cellular sadness that I carried from my ancestors, the cellular sadness that I carried from my parents, and the cellular sadness that we carry in from the collective, and the place where we are one, right? That whole, we are interconnected kind of thing. But I do want to say that in that space of the collective, we are winning We are winning. The collective is rising. And yes, I feel the tensions in the collective. Yes, I feel that, but I also feel an incredible amount of gratitude in the collective, an incredible amount of joy in the collective. People who are doing the dang thing, waking up, and being in that space. So for all of you who are out there and working diligently to stay in that, fifth dimension, and understanding that, you can raise your vibration and doing the work around it, I honor you, I praise you, I say yay and thank you for doing it all, because it's making a difference. I really do feel like it's making a difference.
Aho!
Oh, is right.
Oh,
Well, Katie, I really appreciate you being on the tea with us today. I feel like we could have really gotten a lot deeper into your experiences. Is there anything that you want to share that you feel is really important, that's there, one of our listeners is really needing to hear this, like a message that's coming through from your experiences of your near-death experience, shedding the ego, your tea experience, comparing them? What is something that maybe you feel is important to share for somebody who's just kind of tuning in and listening in?
so what I'm getting is like one of the biggest things with both of those experiences is you're hit with is this really real? Like, is this other realm that whether it's another realm or the fifth dimension, you can look at it both ways.
Sure.
Is this really possible? Can I trust this? Because it's the unknown. And what you were saying earlier about some of the resistance to shifting for the collective is like we're attached to what's familiar, but what's familiar is not necessarily what's healthy for our mind, body, spirit. And so can we trust that something so beautiful and so loving and so protected and supported is there? And when you go deep inside, for me, I heard the answer, and I think we all have to hear it for ourselves. But for me, it was a resonating, resounding yes. You can trust this.
Beautiful. Trust. Yeah. Trust in that unknown. Yeah. Trust in the unknown and know that we are supported. That's beautiful, Katie. Thank you.
For letting me share.
Wonderful. Mia, you have any things that need to come out to, as we close out? Anything that we needs to be shared?
I loved hearing your story, Katie, and I wanted to know, do you have a name for your YouTube channel that people can look for you?
Yes, my YouTube is Electric KatieLand, and my business Electric Katie Healings is kind of embedded within that, but the name is Electric KatieLand. So
Can you tell us more about what you do? Sorry.
So just intuitive energy healings is what that side, a business that I've actually brought more into the center this year. So that's one of those things I can be grateful for 2020.
Oh, true that. Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Just to make it easy, I will put your YouTube so that our viewers can go straight and maybe click on your YouTube from our thing. So make it easy for you guys so that you can reach out and see what Katie's up to. So I usually attach Mia's YouTube and as well. So you guys check them out and, you know, see what's going on in the Electric KatieLand and the Mia Hennis world. And yeah.
Did we want to say anything about the decks we used today? Because people sometimes want to know about that. The one that I use that I love is the Sacred Geometry cards by Francine Hart. I love her stuff, and I actually just got another deck from her.
So the love card that we pulled, the affirmation card, was actually one of my decks that I published. It is the Touchstone affirmation deck, which is available. Just email me. I have both of those decks, and I'd be happy to share. And then the King card was from Colette Baron Reed, which is the Wisdom of Avalon. We didn't really go through a lot of cards today. We were just more into hearing Katie and your beautiful story.
Yeah. So, but you have a video up on YouTube talking about it in case people wanted to.
I do. I have a video on my YouTube, as well as just some of the oracle readings that I do from, well, I've been doing a lot of them from this oracle deck that we opened up today. So yeah, if they want to see those, they can pop onto the YouTube and
yay.
Nice.
Beautiful. Well, I thank you both so much for being here, being willing to share from your heart space. And I am just so grateful, grateful, grateful. And I'd like to leave our listeners with a to remember that in every moment you have an opportunity to drop into your heart, to take the elevator up through the fourth dimension, receive that love, anchor it in, bring it back down, and plant the seeds of love, plant the seeds of everything that you really know is for your highest good and the highest good for all beings and the highest good for the Pachamama, because this new moon is powerful. Know that you are loved. Know that you are worthy. Know that you are the best.
Oh, thank you. Starr, you're going away on Thursday. Are you going to be around next week?
Yes. Yep. Yep. I'll be in Sedona. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I'm packing up my car today, and sacred ceremony. It's the all love gathering, and 2 weekends. It's beautiful. So I'll be there for a little while, and I'm really excited for this. Yeah. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy new moon. Share the love. No wonder all those lovey-dovey messages in today. All right. Blessings, guys. Thank you. Thank you again, Katie.
Thank you.
It was beautiful to have you here.
It's wonderful to share. Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Bless.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.